Okay, and welcome to our second episode of our second season of TACTALK. I'm your host, Alden Morris. So, today is January 2nd, 2019, and as of January 1st, 2019, Initiative I-1639 officially went into place. And a lot of people are asking, what does that mean? Well, let me tell you. State of Washington, a key provision of Washington's sweeping I-1639 gun control law goes into effect this week. Starting January 1st, the age to buy a semi-automatic rifle rises from 18 to 21. Now, this was written by a real Neil McNamara. It's called Major I-1639 Gun Rule Goes into Effect in January. This was published December 31st, 2018, so just a couple days ago. Other I-1639 provisions go into effect until July 1st. Another major part of the law is the creation of a crime called community endangerment. If the owner of a gun allows the weapon to fall into the wrong hands, a child, for example, still getting over a little bit of a cold, and the gun is used to injure, kill, or threaten, the gun owner could face criminal charges. According to I-1639, an assault rifle is defined as any rifle which utilizes a portion of the energy of a firing cartridge to extract the fired cartridge case and chamber the next round, and which requires a separate pull of the trigger to fire each cartridge. So, and that's when, and I've had this debate over the New Year's break and the Christmas break with family coming over, and I was just sitting in the living room discussing politics, and a lot of people have said, personally, that no, this new Initiative 1639 does not cover or does not qualify a Ruger 1022 takedown as a assault rifle. Well, there you go. Yes, it does. Let me read that paragraph again. Any assault rifle is defined as a rifle which utilizes a portion of the energy of a firing cartridge to extract the fired cartridge case and chamber the next round. So when you have any type of semi-automatic weapon, that's what it does. A revolver doesn't do that. A revolver doesn't spin its own cylinder because you've already extracted one of the cartridges. In fact, in a revolver, the cartridges, the actual casings, don't even come out until you pull them out when you release the revolver cylinder itself. As for any type of semi-automatic rifle, like an AR-15 or a 1022 takedown or an AK-47, a shell is automatically ejected at the squeeze of the trigger because of the force that it takes for the round to go down the barrel, ejects the next round out, the magazine the next rifle round feeds. So it uses its own gas-powered operation to load the next round. So therefore, and that's getting real scientific. That alone, they're defining as any assault rifle. And when they want to go for an assault rifle ban, they can take any type of hunting rifle, any type of sporting rifle, and ban it because that's the action that they're claiming is an assault rifle. The group behind I-1639, the Alliance for Gun Responsibility, has outlined more priorities for 2019. The group wants to restrict access to high-capacity magazines, make child care and early learning centers gun-free zones, and further strengthen background checks, among other priorities. Shortly after I-1639 passed in November, the NRA and the Bellevue-based Second Amendment Foundation sued to overturn the law. That lawsuit is still ongoing. So, now that the law is in effect, unfortunately, some people are going to have to obey this law in order to protect their businesses. I mentioned before in the last broadcast that there's going to be some laws that we get to pick and choose to listen to now. Since our own state government here in Washington State seems to pick and choose their own laws that they want to follow now. For example, they're gonna make it so you have to wait till you're 21 to buy a firearm, but if you want to get addicted to heroin, they'll have free heroin for you up in Seattle at a safe injection site. So, on that note, our Governor Jay Inslee is such a pushover, such an agenda. And that's another thing. I need to look into who Jay Inslee is reporting to, because we assume he's the highest authoritarian in the state, next to Bob Ferguson, our Attorney General, and he's not. There's an agenda that Jay Inslee's tackling on behalf of, obviously, his financiers, people who funded his campaign, people who promised him his governorship, people who are looking at him to say, if you want to go make it for president in 2020, you're going to do as we say, you're going to do our bidding. Here's, back in February, here's Governor Jay Inslee, all the way from Washington over in D.C., confronting President Donald Trump about how teachers do not want to be armed.
Now, I know that you have suggested arming our teachers. And
not your teachers.
Not your,
arming a small portion that are very gun adept, that truly know how to handle. Because
So
I do feel, Governor, it's very important that gun-free zones, you have a gun-free zone, it's like an invitation for these very sick people to go there.
And that's what I love about this. He even says right there, these gun-free zones, our president of the United States, I didn't vote for him, but I do agree with him here on this statement. Our president of the United States told Governor Jay Inslee to his face, while Governor Jay Inslee's only goal was to provoke him and to, make fun of the tweets and things. He told him to his face a very simple fact, that these gun-free zones attract the type of people who want to go open shooting on innocent people and not be taken out because of possible concealed carrier. And that's what it says here in this article written December 31st, 2018. Nearly 10 months later, we have an article that says that in 2019 that Governor Jay Inslee's group, his people, his Democratic Party is going to go for more background checks, more gun-free zones, and ban high-capacity magazines. Listen to the president tear him a new one.
I do think that there has to be some form of major retaliation if they're able to enter a school. And if that happens, you're not going to have any problems anymore, because they're never going to the school. You're never going to have a problem. So it would just be a very small group of people that are very gun adept. Anyway, go ahead, Governor.
if I may respond to that, let me just suggest whatever percentage it is. I heard at one time you might have suggested 20%. Whatever percentage it is, speaking as a grandfather,
Right.
speaking as a governor of the state of Washington, I have listened to the people who would be affected by that. I've listened to the biology teachers, and they don't.
And he's listened to the people who would be affected by it, that work at schools that already have armed security. But he didn't listen to the people who would be affected for it for a positive reason. He didn't listen to the people who have actually had guns brought into their school, the teacher who does probably armed carry for now illegally, and they're waiting for their right to be able to do it legally, recognized by the state. And, let's move on, because he even goes to, Governor Jay Inslee talks about how he listens to all these people who don't want to be armed, but there are states that currently have armed teachers.
Don't want to do that at any percentage. I've listened to the first grade teachers that don't want to be pistol packing first grade teachers. I've listened to law enforcement who have said they don't want to have to train teachers as law enforcement agencies, which takes about 6 months.
And I'll tell you right now, it does not take 6 months. The academy, the police academy, takes 6 months. Are you teaching teachers to learn the laws enough to make a traffic stop and a citation and place someone under arrest? Are you teaching teachers how to take someone down to the ground and put them in handcuffs? Are you teaching them what daily operations they need to carry on their persons? No, they're teaching them simply how to handle a firearm in a defensive situation. It does not take 6 months.
Now, I just think this is a circumstance where we need to listen, that educators should educate, and they should not be foisted upon this responsibility of packing heat in first grade classes. Now, I understand you have suggested this, and we suggest things, and sometimes then we listen to people about it. Maybe they don't look so good a little later. So I just suggest we need a little less tweeting here, a little more listening, and let's just take that off the table and move forward.
A little less
All right,
tweeting.
thank you very much. We have a number of states right now that do that. And I think with that in mind, I'll call on Greg Abbott, the great governor of Texas. Greg?
So you notice what kind of respect he gets from the president when his state allows for armed teachers. He gets called the great governor of Texas. So, yeah. So this is Say the governor with armed security is the first comment on that YouTube channel. So yeah. So the governor will tell you no, he doesn't want guns in your school, but he's got an armed group of people carrying guns right around him. So we're gonna take a short break for our first commercial break. When we get back, we'll talk more about I-1639 and some of the initiatives that's going to affect our state. And, we'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. Protecting those who prepare. 801-987-0893 for custom body armor carriers and tactical gear for military, law enforcement, contractors, corporate security, responsible citizens, and border patrol. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. 801-987-0893. 0893. Okay, and welcome back from our commercial break. So, during the commercial break, I tuned in, every day I tune in to Dory Monson over at the Cairo radio station at the Carter Super Studios. And, we just got confirmation as of today. Let me get this article pulled up. I mean, more on Governor Jay Inslee here, right? Jay Inslee is betting he can be the president on climate change. So, again, we got confirmation that Jay Inslee is running for president of the United States here in 2020. So, if you're wondering where Washington State's all of those campaign dollars are going, that's because they're going for his presidential campaign when it comes to initiating carbon tax, for example. And so that's another beauty of this agenda that we're running here. Is like I said in the first half of the show today, I want to find out who Jay Inslee reports to. Who does he work for? Whose agenda is he accomplishing? Because he literally says Jay Inslee is betting he can win the presidency on climate change. Meaning, the big old vote we just had here in Washington State for climate change doesn't matter. Because it was shot down by the people. Yet he's still running on the fact that climate change is happening. So, and then, if you're not familiar with the vote on climate change here in our Washington State, it was a vote basically where he initiated a carbon tax based on our emissions. And let me just do the math for you real quick. If the carbon tax bill would have passed, our state of Washington would have collected billions of money in revenue from the city of Seattle and from citizens of the state. Based on a very small percentage of emissions that you pollute. For example, if I can quote this properly because it's so minuscule and it's just ridiculous. According to a scientific study, if I can pull that up here too, we here in Washington State, the state of Washington alone produces 1/1000th of a fraction of a single percent of emissions when it comes to worldwide emissions. So we literally produce less than 1%, and on top of that less than 1%, we produce 1/1000th of a fraction of that 1%. Yet, Jay Inslee wanted to tax our state in which his revenue would be collecting billions, a billionaire-dollar revenue stream from a simple emissions carbon tax. And now that his own people, not just the Republicans in the state, but his own people, his own Democratic Party, turned it down. Thought it was a bad idea. This is from Edward Isaac Dover, 5 a.m. Eastern Time today. Olympia, Washington. What if a meteor were hurtling toward the Earth, about to kill billions and reshape life on the planet as we know it? And what if the president, instead of doing anything to help, made it worse in just about every way and called it a hoax? And any solutions a scam, instead of the very real, very clear disaster taking shape? And what if all the Democrats running to beat him in the next election went on about how concerned they were about how it's most pressing problem, but none had ever done much more than talk about the problem, and for the most part, only started doing just that in the past few years? That's where Jay Inslee thinks America is when it comes to climate change. And that's why he's going to run for president. The question is whether he can convince anyone else that he's a big enough player to be a serious candidate. Now, this article is kind of poorly written, but I'm not going to go on from there. Long story short, climate change is a natural recurring effect. I have actually got one of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel called Continents After a Pole Shift, A Theory of a Future Earth. That video alone, in fact, I'll see if I can't pull it up here while I'm on the air with you guys. But that video alone, if you guys want to know a little bit of secrets about my ad revenue when it comes to my YouTube channel, that one video out of the hundreds that I have, that one video creates me over $100 a month in just ad revenue. Going here to my creator studio. I get over, that one video alone has just over 1 million views, or 500,000 views, I take that back. I get probably, let's see, I'll just tell you the statistics as soon as it pulls it up here. But bear with me. Moving on, that climate change is a naturally recurring event. I mean, climate change is what caused many of our older ice ages, our recent extinction rates, the 5 or 6 extinction rates we've had on this planet in our short-term history here. Like I said, it's a natural occurring event. My video, The Concept or Pole Shift, The Theory of a Future Earth, as of the last 28 days, has 34,000 views and over 150,000 watch time minutes. So, obviously, I can speak on that topic more than our own Governor Jay Inslee can because I know more about that topic than he does. I mean, I have the video proof that shows that, like, hey, there's nothing really to fear. This is something that can happen over a period of thousands of years. Unless something disastrous comes into contact with a celestial object such as our moon or our sun and wreaks immediate havoc here on Earth due to the electromagnetic connection in our own solar system. That's an unlikely event, and that's an event that, if likely were to occur, we would see immediately. However, what Jay Inslee is going on about is the slow residual outcome of these effects over the thousands of years of climate change, and he thinks that no one else cares about it. I mean, there's lots of people who care about it. It's just not such an immediate pressing matter because it's a natural phenomena that we can't hold ourselves entirely to blame. I mean, that's how they get you. Your car pollutes. You know, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and everything that are carbon emissions in this planet are naturally occurring. I mean, to say for the last 100 years that we've produced this much carbon and to see that whole entire ice ages have occurred from carbon emissions over 20,000 years ago, I mean, come on, seriously? They go do ice cap measuring, or they go up into Antarctica and they measure those ice cores, and they can see the amount of carbons that were in the air at that time, and there's been times where there's a lot more higher carbon amount than we have now. So, quit using yourself as a way to be blamed and taxed for something yet you're not really doing. That's a natural event on its own. That's like saying, like the ancient Aztecs, I gotta sacrifice you because the volcano erupts. Well, back then it made sense. But now we know a little bit more about science, and we know a little bit more about how things work. And this is a way where this is proof that Jay Inslee doesn't listen to our own scientists. And if he is listening to the scientists, he's listening to the scientists that work for that side of the agenda, that get a little bit more, their more pockets filled when they collect these taxes, especially these carbon taxes. I mean, the city of Seattle can't even spend, a couple $1 million, right, when it comes to safe injection sites and reallocating heroin addicts or these tent cities in their own city. But yet they can tell you all day long that they need billions of dollars for carbon tax because they know the answer on how to fix it. No, this is ridiculous. Jay Inslee, this is... You know what, Jay Inslee? Run for president. Go ahead and keep running for president. Because we're going to do everything we can to expose you and to make sure that you never become president. I mean, you can't even confront the president, right, about a topic that might even give him a chance to stutter. He turned around and with his experience through The Apprentice and through just him being himself, shot you down so quick and then retaliated with the Texas governor on how some states already have armed security guards. So, just get in line, Governor Jay Inslee, because you're going down. And our next governor, hopefully, is a Republican, and we will see about that. We're coming up on 8 minutes. We've overextended our second topic. This is just some of the latest updates. This is going to be a great year for 2019. It's going to be a great year. We're going to see the show take off. We're going to see a lot of things happen. We're going to have a lot of guests on this show. I'm really excited for that. I've called out a couple of people that I felt that would be really great addition to the show to have on as a guest speaker, just to kind of rack their brains for you guys to get to know better and all that. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this is 2019. This is January 2nd, 2019. We're looking at 12:26 p.m. This is pre-recorded before our live broadcast here on Facebook. And then, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye out for our Governor Jay Inslee and our Attorney General Bob Ferguson. They're up to no good, especially this year 2019. Before he leaves the state of Washington as governor and tries to go for president, he's going to try to crack down on our firearms. No more high-capacity magazines and more gun-free zones. And yeah, let's fight back with everything we have. You guys, thanks for listening. We got to end our show. I will talk to you guys here soon. Thank you.